okay, what level can I move forward given that number? There might be something to that where I can take a step forward given that level of trust. And also, why is it just a 65? How do we move that to a 70, or how do we start moving that up? And a lot of times, this is where I see that the bread and butter of recovery. It's consistency. It's the addict's lack of consistency. They're sometimes good at showing up and sometimes not. And I don't know, like we need to be more often than 80, 90% consistent for this to really move the needle for trustworthiness.
But
So,
and I think there's also the partner side of that, which is, what is it that the addict can do to rebuild trust? And sometimes that's, like there's the Burkhardt model of trust. You know, I can verify what you're doing, so I trust you. I experience that what you're telling me matches what I experience of you, so I trust you. And then I'm learning to trust you just because I think you're trustworthy. So the addict can do those kind of things. And, the partner can clarify what they need for that trust to be rebuilt. I think there are sometimes, unfortunately, for partners that so much damage has been done. And I think the other question is, even if the addict was working an absolutely solid program and was really solid in their sobriety for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, would I be able to lean in to trust them any more than 50%, 60%? Because there's just been too much damage on my side. And if that's the best that I can get to, what choice do I want to make about the relationship? And so, sometimes it's what's the addict doing to rebuild on their side, and sometimes it's the partner just acknowledging the reality of not where am I at now, but do I really believe that I can move from this?
Mhm. I I love this idea of, continuum of trust. And I certainly did not mean to apply you either have it or don't. You
oh
take,
yeah, yeah, no, I just find that's a
yeah,
trap sometimes that people can get
yeah.
into.
And I like the idea of using this number of what would I need my trust number to be at to continue this relationship, to see where it goes? What number would I need, or what would need to happen for me to increase that number? I think that's a really beautiful way of breaking down into smaller pieces, smaller chunks of a better analysis of one's trust in different situations, but also to continue in this relationship, to move forward in the relationship, what would set me back in the relationship. I'm just in my mind, I'm like, oh, Dan Drake, you just wrote a whole article right there. You could have a really interesting full discussion on that, because that's a lot of great therapy work, that
Yeah,
exploration. Where are you and what do you need to move forward or not?
right.
You know,
So,
I kind of find myself going back to her question,
mhm.
which is, how do I know if he's in solid recovery? How do I actually know if he's in recovery or not, or good recovery? And for me, I think that the answer really comes up with, what are you seeing him doing? And if he's in good recovery, I'm making the assumption he's sharing with you sort of his program. And if he's had a relapse after a year or 18 months, is he figuring out what he needs to do? I'm going to put a plug in here for our relapse autopsy. It's in our book, Finding the Way Through. It's also available on our website, willowtreesantarosa.com. But if he's relapsing, is he willing to sort of do a relapse autopsy of some sort to figure out, well, what was going on that after a year or 18 months, I went back into relapse? And what am I learning from that? And how am I tweaking my program moving forward so that I can avoid that in the future? So is he just relapsing and saying, well, I relapsed, and so now I'm going to get back on the horse, and not really leaning in to figure it out? Or does he relapse, take it seriously, and try to figure out what it is, and he's really leaning into his program, and you see him leaning into his program and sharing with you sort of the aha moments that he's having in his program?
Mhm. Last
Well
thoughts,
said.
Dan?
Well, no, I was going to say I love it as a resource. It's because it tells me a lot. Is someone willing to actually, because it's not a small thing to do. It's what, 12 pages. I mean, it's a
14.
decent amount. 14.
Be
So I mean, it's
expanded.
a decent amount of work. But the great thing is that I found. I mean, I've sometimes had clients work through it, work slowly through it, and they learn so much more about themselves because there's usually misses along the way. It doesn't just happen all of a certain amount of time. There's usually things that they could have done differently or should have done differently. So I have one more thing just to add to this, if that's okay. It's not uncommon after a certain period of time that someone's recovery program may shift.